Has it sunk in yet? Ohio State, are they the national champions of college football, Nicole?
They are.
They are. Okay, if it hasn't sunk in, we're going to talk about it right now and let those emotions wash over you with a special Wednesday edition in the Horseshoe Lounge at Roosters. It is a fun, casual joint. We were busy on Monday in Atlanta. That's Justin Zwick, Bobby Carpenter, and Nicole Cox. So we couldn't swing the show. But Nicole said, you know what would be cool is a championship celebration edition of the show.
A recap.
She was jinxing it. So she wasn't going to be in the stadium, but she's like, you know what? We'll see you guys on Wednesday.
It was a great choice. You guys, I wore the same sweatshirt for every playoff game.
Good.
Same
Washed
outfit.
or unwashed?
And then washed. And then I rotated. I watched it all on home televisions, but I rotated houses because the pattern started that way. I was like, well, I can't go back to my house. So we watched it at my daughter's house.
Back to my house.
Yeah. I had to keep the system going. I did my part. And my daughter's boyfriend's mom
Riley's
was
got
there.
her own place and everything?
Yeah. So
Wow,
her boyfriend's mom was there. And she goes, well, I usually watch it with my neighbors. And things were looking a little dicey there for, the game started. Yes.
The first
Gotta
10
get out of
minutes
this
of the
house.
game.
And I was like,
you're going to need to call
Janet,
those friends over.
you're going to have to go back with your friends. And she did. And we started winning. I was like, so we did our part, guys. I felt good about our part.
Yeah. There was only a couple minutes of trepidation down there at Mercedes-Benz
Only
Stadium.
a few. I wasn't nervous.
That first, listen,
Yeah, it was
the first drive, and then we got the ball, I'm like, and it's third down. We didn't. It wasn't
we better answer that drive.
I'm like, these
Our
guys,
defense is
I was right
tired.
by the defense. I'm like, these dudes are dead. Like,
I bet.
if we don't get a first down here, like, I was worried that you could
They're
see
just going to
them
come right back downhill
like
on us again.
running downhill. Now, I think Riley Leonard was probably
Now,
like,
Riley Leonard
I think he was more spent than the defense made.
He was definitely more tired and exhausted and already on fumes
and beat
after that
up.
drive than Ohio State's defense.
like I was down there. There's a bunch of, like, I call it like a lot of the early urban guys, Raekwon, Taekwon,
Malik Harrison,
Malik, he's a little
Jonathan
younger,
Cooper, Chase
Coop,
Young.
Chase, yeah, all those dudes. Zeke, just in his full glory. I love Zeke.
He's awesome.
Zeke just walks back in one of the suites behind us, starts getting a drink and hanging out. People are like, hey, he's like, hey, Buckeyes. You know?
You can go wherever you want.
He
I
is.
mean,
He
really
can.
could.
Well, they were Buckeyes. I mean, they were Buckeyes. Like, you gonna say no to Zeke?
No.
You get some good drinks? I'll take a drink.
He adds a little to every party.
He really does.
He adds a lot to everybody.
I usually
Yes.
go up and grab him, and he gets really, he's like, man, Bobby, Wally's all over me. And so I played it. I didn't say anything. He's like, man, Bobby, you ain't gonna say anything. I'm like, I want to play hard to get for you, Zeke. You always say I was all over you every time on the cruise. So yeah, it's my guy. But they were all there, and we're just like, okay, like this is good. But think about this: the reality. They had that ball for 9 minutes and 45 seconds. Their total time of possession was about 28 minutes. So outside of that,
That's crazy,
like
isn't
to
it?
start with that, and then the rest of the game they had it for 18, which is pretty wild. And that first third down was huge. Boom, you get it rolling, and then all of a sudden it's like the avalanche we saw: 3 and out, touchdown, 3 and out, touchdown, and that's the first half.
Yeah.
Each team really had 3 possessions. It was wild. And then I felt good. Then I went upstairs middle of the second quarter and had sat up there and hung out with Tress and watched some of the game. Felt good about life.
Yeah, and there was still some moments because Notre Dame. We said it all week. Well coached. They're 1 through 85, not as talented as Ohio State, but they were going to execute. They were not going to back down. They didn't. They got they took advantage of some calls against Ohio State, penalties, a ball that doesn't bounce the right way for Emeka Egbuka, and they climb back in it. And they make it more competitive in the fourth quarter.
First turnover in the 3 games we've had. Tress probably goes first 2 games, no turnovers, and this one like played a lot of that game without it either. So yeah, but that one did make a difference because that was kind of the turnovers. All of a sudden, like you feel the momentum.
It just felt like, oh boy, here we go.
Yeah,
because you're going to score.
Yeah.
Same thing in the Cotton Bowl with Will Howard's interception, where you felt like they're about to put their stamp on the game, and they just it was sort of the theme of the whole year. Like Ohio State, when they got stopped, it was either penalties or turnovers, self-inflicted ones.
The one thing I will say is like they were able to get that 2-score lead, and when you have that 2-score lead, like it feels a little better than just one play being the difference, and all of a sudden you're tied back up. So the 21, and then they get that field goal, and you're thinking like, okay, despite the fact that they scored and you get the 2-point, you're like, I don't necessarily like this. But I know Nicole was probably at the end just bag of cats, not feeling good about life.
Oh, guys, I knew they were going to win. I told you that from the beginning. I really.
So you weren't nervous at all then?
At the very beginning, slightly, but I knew how badly they wanted it. And I even felt, everyone's going to think I'm crazy for saying this, I even felt, even if we had lost, they did everything they could to get to where they were, and they wanted it so badly. You could just see it in
I
their
know.
eyes.
I
You could see
appreciate
it.
your sentiment with that. I don't know if everybody else
They
would share.
wouldn't, and I
would
understand
share
that.
Yeah, I don't know if 31-7 people would not have been like,
We
well,
might have gone a little too far on that.
Yeah.
one.
Had a big
hey,
lead.
they, you
But
know,
we won. I
they
think it's
did what
easier
We
they
don't
for
did.
even
me
have
say
to think
that.
about it.
Yeah.
We
Exactly.
That
we
was
don't. And I just I don't know. It was a little weird there at the end.
But you know
But-
what? That's the fact that
It was a national championship
the
game.
fact that it came back. Notre Dame, I give a lot of credit to Marcus, and I
No.
think he represented himself very well in the school. They came back, they made a game of it. They forced Ohio State to have to make a play
Yep.
to beat you. And I said that going in. Notre Dame will not beat themselves; they will make you beat them. And I was down on the field for the go ball and like on like the very corner end zone on that side. So all I could see is Will when he tipped his shoulder. I'm like, oh no, why are we going deep? You see the
well,
ball
because
go-
JJ's down there.
Yes.
I couldn't see.
Why didn't we do that on second down is what I was saying.
Couldn't see the perception of what was going on, and then all you see is all the Buckeye fans stand up and
Yeah.
like, he must have caught it. Like,
Oh,
it
well,
must
he
be
was
good.
5 yards open.
Well,
I mean, it was
well,
We'll
awesome.
put it on him.
As soon
It
as,
was a
as soon as
hell-
the ball went up, you're like, he's wide open. Just
put
don't
it-
miss the layup.
I'm
Put it on him.
That's the hardest throw.
Oh,
sometimes.
100%.
Don't
Yeah.
miss the layup.
Yeah.
I'm in the corner of the end zone. That play is coming directly at me. I'm like, oh my God, they're taking the shot. Oh my God, what a hell of a ball.
Yeah.
It was like just the
I
way
mean,
it
Will
is.
I
Howard
just-
was in his bag
I was
on Monday night.
Talking
man.
to Nate, I'm going having a stroke right now.
Are you okay?
Yeah, safety, Ohio State, Patriots.
Nate Ebner.
Ebner. Jeez. Yeah, that's when you get 1 hour of sleep 2 nights ago.
I feel you.
The recall synapses aren't firing. I was talking to Nate Ebner. He's like, yeah, he must have just thought there was an in cut. Like if you watch the corner of the back view, and Jeremiah does a great
He
job
got-
of just
he
leaning.
leans on him.
And I think the corner was like inside leverage. It's fourth down or third
Yeah.
down, probably an in breaker, throw a slant, maybe a dig. And then all of a sudden you see him bloop and then fade back away. And there was so much space for Will to throw that into. And it's like you said, just don't miss the
Yeah,
layup.
don't miss the layup. 'Cause-
Don't put it out of bounds.
Yeah, you don't overthrow that one. You just make sure he's able to go up and make a play on it.
I think Will Howard was talking about that on Tuesday morning. That the champions get a press conference in Atlanta. It was the last thing that we did to cover down there. And Will Howard was talking about his development with Ryan Day and Chip Kelly and Billy Fessler, and that throw itself. Jay-Z had been one that you rep all the time. Throw 42 yards to the red line on the field, give him room to operate, drop it in the bucket. Like they repped that a bunch of times. Now they hadn't repped the first touchdown to JJ a lot. They put that play in the build up to the game.
Alabama a few weeks ago, or a few years ago.
But everybody was asking us 2 months ago, 3 months ago, you were talking about, can Will Howard throw the deep ball when Ohio State needs it? Well,
Yeah.
I guess he can.
Oh, 100%. I mean, he could have done anything he wanted Monday night. He was on fire. It was so fun to watch. I mean, he has an ability to, know stuff is happening, but stay calm and just. I mean, the ball he threw to Brandon Ennis on 3rd and 7 right before the half, with a couple minutes to go.
Yeah.
3rd and 7. They're bringing a blitzer. He's sitting. I mean, he knows somebody's coming in his face. He was just. It was awesome to watch. But yeah, in the biggest moment of the game, 3rd and 11, to seal the deal, a go ball to a freshman. And JJ, I mean, the one thing with quarterbacks on go routes is, if you get squeezed out to the sideline, there's not a lot of room. So him coming in and, just gave plenty of room to the sideline, and, they rep it, they practice it. But, man, that was just an exclamation point for Will's night.
So accurate.
Oh, I mean, the guy, what was it, 14 of 14, or was it
Started
15?
Started 13 of 13.
Yeah, 13 of 13. I
13
mean,
consecutive.
incredible.
And it's funny because I was sitting there with Tress talking about the game, and it's like, Notre Dame felt a little bit like Ohio State in the 0-2, and Tress was like, oh, I think it was a little more of a gap talent-wise.
Well, it's a fish story now.
Yeah. But what isn't a fish story is, I don't know if I talked about it here. I mean, Craig was rushed it 19 times for 81 yards. And I asked Tress that, and he was like spot on. He's like, what was it, 18 or 19 for about 80? I was like, yeah. I go, do you know what he threw for? He's like, I don't know. And I'm like,
80 yards?
it was 7-21 for 130. I mean, you want to talk about
Isn't that just how that year was, though? I mean,
33%. If your third down percentage is 33%.
he was the MVP of the game, wasn't he?
That's what I'm saying. And I'm like, you had Will Howard go out there and throw 13 straight completions.
Straight completions. I mean,
And on the money, too, like accurate.
and he's
in
been all
spot.
year. I mean, all year long. He's thrown that ball. just knows where he's supposed to go with it, putting in tight windows, wide open guys, no matter what it was, giving the guys the ball where they can turn it up and make a play and get extra yards.
And here's one other thing, and this, like, since we're giving out flowers, I mean, obviously Ryan with everything he's done, and Will. The offensive line, Buckeye Leaf.
Yeah.
Justin Fry, for a guy that everybody wanted to fire, not everybody, a lot of people.
A
lot of people were talking about how that unit was going.
I was heavily criticized for saying before the playoff, hey, maybe after Tennessee, you might reevaluate what's happening and think about putting this in perspective. I said, maybe just give it some time before immediately firing some people. And he has more to potentially gain in this postseason than any other coach. And guess what happened?
It's amazing. Well, I looked at the Tetris set that he had been sliding around all year, where the only guy that started every game and played that same position is Josh Fryer.
Yeah.
Everybody else, Donovan didn't even start the season. He was out. Austin Saraveld's playing guard. Simmons goes down. Zen comes in. Zen goes down. You slide Donovan out. Then you have Saraveld in there. Then Chabola starts struggling, so you move him over. Then you put
Saraveld gets hurt.
Then Saraveld gets hurt. And then Seth gets hurt. You put Hinsman, who was playing well at guard, move him back over to center. Then you start rotating.
You bring a kid in who hadn't played all year, and you put him in.
It's 9 guys.
It's incredible.
It's 9 guys. In the last 4 games, like, as well as Will played, Will had really good time.
100%.
Really good time. And as you know, that makes all the difference.
Well, and when you're rushing for over 200 yards in a game, I mean, that makes such. Now, granted, the throw game probably opened up some of that because early on we were just dinking and dunking. We're taking what they were giving us, and that's going to open up the run game. But when you can have over 200 yards, what did we used to go for back in the day? They wanted 150 yards rushing to have a win as far as an offense goes. So to be at 220, whatever it was. I mean, I know you had a big one with Quinshawn right at the beginning of the third, but that is part of it.
Part of it.
That was a huge hole for him to run through,
yes.
And he was able to get to the second level untouched, and just wasn't able to finish.
2,000-yard backs.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
2,000-yard receivers.
2,000 yards receivers, yeah.
I mean, they played a lot of games, but they didn't play very fast this year. This wasn't the Ryan Day of 3 or 4 years ago where you're getting 80 plays a game.
Yeah.
They may have played
the Chip Kelly from 15
Yes.
years ago.
I mean, they slowed it down until the playoff, and they would vary tempo. But the offensive line, Justin Fry, he's a really damn good football coach.
Yes.
Huh, imagine that.
People go, why do you think that? I go, because I watch him coach in practice, and I've seen guys who are trash coaches, and I've seen guys who are really good. And I'm here to tell you, he's more on the good end of the spectrum than he is on the bad.
And do you have any guys who have gone to the league in the last couple of years who have been coached by him? Like, he is really good, and he helped me get to where I am right now.
I felt the most ludicrous part about that, just to wrap up on Justin Fry, is like, well, he's not developing guys. What are you watching? You can criticize the way that the recruiting has worked out, or that the NIL situation and losing David Sanders. I don't think that's Justin Fry's department. He's not going to be able to pay $2 million for an offensive tackle. That's a true freshman. But if you want to criticize the depth of the room, whatever, fine. Once they get on the field,
9 guys.
If you are not seeing development, this is the end of their true sophomore season for Luke Montgomery and Austin Saraveld's. That is ahead of schedule for an offensive lineman.
Yeah.
To say that they're not being developed is absolute nonsense.
And then Carson Hinsman came in and played much better than last year. So the practice that he was getting, and obviously the relationship and everything there, and the belief of coming in guard, then back to center, like, your guard, center guard, you feel good about that next year. Now, the portal tackles and stuff, okay. But
guess what? They've already added 2.
So. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So you feel pretty good about this offensive line moving forward. Yeah. And the 4 guys really inside, those guys are all developed here, recruited here players.
Yeah. All right. Offensive line. You said Ryan Day. I think Nicole's probably got some thoughts on that.
I do. And this goes to Ryan Day, too. What you're saying about Justin Fry, I think that a lot of people don't realize, there were so many people calling for Ryan to not have his job anymore, which I personally just don't think you can jump to those conclusions. I think we need to look at what Ryan Day has accomplished. And again,
what's a lot easier
the
today?
National team, a lot easier, but you have to keep believing in them, even when it gets tough. And I think this right here is where Ryan shines, like truly hitting major adversity and coming back all the way to the top, and having to manage that many kids. I mean, these are like young adults.
Well, young egos, they're emotional. Like, it's a
There's money involved now.
He can't, and to not have control, meaning control, like he can't necessarily control each and every one of them. He just teaches, like parenting, you know? And so my Buckeye leaf goes to him. It goes to him for everything he has had to deal with all the backlash, and he just proved everyone, hey, when you're down, you just got to keep plugging, and you've got to maybe he learns from mistakes, and I think that is truly what makes a leader.
You're almost crying right now, but Berm said that Monday was the anniversary of his father's death.
It is.
Yeah, I read that, yeah.
1988.
Stop.
Yes,
really, you're going to tell me that right now?
Yeah.
So
I want to get you to push you over the finish line here.
It is amazing. I meant to bring that up this morning.
Gosh, you guys.
I saw that yesterday, and I'm like, my goodness.
It's pretty wild, huh?
You can't even write that. You can't even make that up, man.
He deserves it. Meaning he deserves, on that day, on everything he has fought to get to where he is. And again, guys, if you look at the entire picture of his coaching at Ohio State, he's a great coach. I mean, like we said, if you let him go, who else are you going to get?
Top 3 win percentage of a guy who has 80 games played or
Walter
coached.
Camp and
Newt guys Rockman. Who are old timers.
I'm also going to show you the video that I took of him singing Carmen, Ohio with the family. So
please, I need to see that. I need to see all that. I mean, you guys, I was crying. Obviously, I texted you guys at the house, and it was really neat too to watch my son just in front of the TV, just in awe. He goes, "Mom, I just think this is so cool," because he was only 4 the last time we won the national championship, and just to see that excitement and how amazing it is, and just the next day, everybody. I just woke up so happy.
The next day, you should see that.
What does it mean to wake up the next day?
That day,
because they never went to bed.
The next one, the co-eds at Ohio State. I mean, I was in the training room today. The guys were getting videos. I mean, you were at Town Hall and some of the places downtown.
At the stadium, they broke in, didn't they?
Breaking in, people climbing over the bars and just pouring drink. I mean,
that's awesome.
It was a scene, man.
A lot easier to get drinks everywhere other than Atlanta, Bob.
Yeah, and even in Atlanta, I think there was some video of guys climbing over some of the stuff in there and to get some things on the security footage. So, to the victor go the spoils. And Nicole, you would have. I was down there, like Roy was at. They brought Nina and the kids down, and I had to make sure the kids were with her, because if not, it could have been her twin sister, and I would have I've been duped. Because
thank you for warning me of that too, because I could go up.
I didn't know she had a twin.
Oh yeah, they look the same.
And I would walk up and I'd have a full blown conversation thinking it was her. So
and I feel bad for her, because it's like, I'm just gonna not even correct them.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna keep having this, but
that happens probably all the time.
Getting a chance to see you there and the emotion. Give her a hug, it's over, it's done.
Take a deep breath.
Take a deep breath.
Let it out. Yeah.
Ryan talking about the family. He's like, I'm happy for these guys. I'm happy for my family, because the reprieve that they get now, where you've won that title and everybody knows it, everybody sees it, it's there. They can never take it away now. So the cover that gives them, and the ability then to be on the other side of that. Which is it's been rough.
And this victory is so much sweeter. We were talking about Notre Dame, that we, at the end, they were starting to make us work for it. And first of all, I think that's what makes a good game. It is the national championship. You have 2 teams that are supposed to be the best teams, and it's not going to be easy. Well, it shouldn't be. That's not how it should work out, where it's a blowout. Honestly, I know we talk about that. I don't love the blowout games, because they're not. I don't know, but anyway,
it's not as exciting.
It's not as exciting,
feel
and
alive.
It makes the victory that much sweeter. Think about this. It just makes the victory that much sweeter for everything this team has gone through this year.
I agree. I mean, I think the celebrations for the title game, that's always going to stand on its own. But if you compared the Cotton Bowl to the Rose Bowl, they had the entire second half to process the fact that they won against Oregon.
Where you're watching Jack, yes,
like that,
and Sonny blocking for him. I mean, you have and that's been another big thing. The 5 hometown Pickerington players. The Stiles family, Jack Sawyer, Max LaMonaco, Ty
Hamilton.
Yeah, it's just unreal. It's special. We want to do something special for them there. A little something in the works. Maybe a little permanent appreciation.
Okay, let's go.
They deserve it. It's just,
they do.
It's awesome.
Special.
To have a hometown like that have that many guys
Oh.
be a big part, not just we got a couple of walk-ons or this or that, like players.
It's unreal.
I think it's awesome.
And they grew up at Roosters. They started going in there 12 years ago when that store opened. So
Yeah, Ty Hamilton's one of the most, I think, overlooked, underappreciated players on that defense, which is, you can understand why, but he was doing a lot of dirty, thankless work that was critical for Ohio State that he deserves to be called out for that as well.
Thank you for saying that, because I agree, you guys. I'm glad you brought up Will too, in the sense that we take for granted, again with the standard, they're just expected to make these passes, to make these blocks, it's like they did it. Mistakes happen, but we need to recognize them for how great every single one of them did. Every play, trying to make everything happen. And if a mistake's made, they moved on, as Ryan Miller always says, move on to the next play. I think it's the greatest advice. And I think that's what Ryan taught them after November 30th. We're moving on to the next play. We've got something in front of us. We're not looking back. We're going to learn from it. And that's where we are now with the national championship winners.
Got some hardware.
I give Will a lot of credit. To me, his greatest performance may have been the Today Show and everything he did running, because he was up. It was late. It was
sleep is for the weak, right?
Sleep is for the weak.
3:30, 4 o'clock. I'm like, bro, you got to get to bed. You got
stuff to do in the
tomorrow.
morning.
Let's
Good for him.
start working this. But it was fun. There was everybody there. They closed the bars. They'd pre-bought a bunch of beers, so then you're drinking warm beers by 2 hours after close.
That's called cowboy cold.
Well, a dude pulled open his coat jacket. I didn't even know who he was. He's like, Bobby, General, and he pulled out a bottle of scotch. I'm like, I don't even really like it, but let's go. Buckeyes.
Did they have a party for them at a certain location?
They were just in the lobby at the
hotel.
Hyatt
At the
Regency.
hotel.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Yeah, Team Hotel was live. Media
I
Hotel.
didn't realize it was right down the street.
Oh yeah.
If I would have known that, I would have walked down sooner.
Yeah.
It is. That's the good thing about Atlanta.
Instead
You
of
can walk.
instead of your creative ordering right before 2.
Yeah. Well, listen, creative ordering, it's volume bias. Listen, dude, there's a bunch of people in line like, hey, I need to get 4 tequila sodas. And then I'm like, listen, I'll tip you like $20, dude. Like, it was comp bar. So I'm like, here's $25. Go. Thank you so much.
Some of us didn't make.
I was like, don't even put the ice in there.
And you guys,
Just pour them back.
Fill it up.
Then we can get to the other people. Just
isn't Atlanta the cheap stadium too, where you get?
Yes.
The
you guys,
concessions, like $5 for a hamburger.
Allie and
gosh.
Liberty were in line. They're like, I was like, did you miss something? This was only $18.
Yeah.
No, you're good.
Same thing happened to me. Kudos
For
to
Arthur
that
Blank.
stadium.
Yeah.
It's amazing. I literally
It's a
I was
nice
like,
stadium.
oh no,
So he
I
does
don't
that
have
because
just
of
one bottle of water.
Augusta.
Well, it turns
Yeah.
out
Really?
you also sell
More.
They
Yeah.
make more money because you buy.
Then
more
there's
stuff.
that.
Yeah,
Imagine
you guys, very simple,
Yeah,
very
it's-
simple
it's-
concept.
It's a nice one.
Yeah.
It's also like how you can buy more appetizers. on Tuesday.
yes,
Yeah.
that's right.
I mean,
These-
This
it
was
was
yesterday.
that. It was yesterday, so,
so they made
we're
these
late,
yesterday
but-
for us. They're seasonal. They're good.
and
They're fresh.
they still smell delicious.
Oh, they're good even the next
Can't wait
day.
to eat them.
The cheesy bacon wedge, which Berm said is the optimal
Delivery device.
potato delivery device
Yeah.
because of the density and the girthiness. And you
Yeah.
can get a lot of the cheese on
Get a
there.
lot.
$3 all day long yesterday. So hopefully you took advantage of that. with
There will
the
be another
cel-
appetizer.
Yeah, it'll be
Next
next
week.
Tuesday.
Don't worry
Yeah.
about that.
It's going to be great.
2 days after the parade to celebrate Ohio State's national
Yes.
championship. Jay-Z, was Will Howard your Buckeye lead?
Yeah, I mean, I have to.
Yeah.
I mean, I do it. I've done it a lot this year, but I think he's just played outstanding, and I think he is also. I don't want to say been hated on the whole year, but he's just been nobody's talking
He
about this
hasn't-
guy.
he's
He's done
Over-
exactly.
overlooked, I
Yeah,
would
he's
say. I was told-
overlooked. Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, that's a good
I
way
was
to put
told
it.
by Emmanuel Acho that he was the worst quarterback.
Exactly.
left in
Like
the
you
playoffs.
have that
Yeah.
after
Who's
you
that
after
guy?
you see him play Tennessee and Oregon, and you have a guy come out and say something like that going into the national championship. Like it just blows my mind the disrespect that they've kind of put on him, and all he's done this entire year, he was better than I thought he was going to be throwing the football. He didn't even run the ball as much as
Yeah.
when
on
he came
Monday.
in. Well, on Monday, yeah, but when he came in, it was like, oh, a big guy, he runs the ball. The quarterback runs are going to be a big part. That wasn't. We didn't really need it to be.
Yeah.
But the way he handled himself throughout the entire year, the way he played, putting the offense in the right positions, some of the balls he threw were just amazing. And he picked the biggest night of the year to have his best game, in my opinion, to go 13, start that game off 13-13, go drive down the field when your defense was just on the field for 9 minutes, whatever it was, to get a score and make that answer, be 21-7 going in. I mean, the plays he made. he will be here for 1 year, but he will go down as, one of the greats at Ohio State, which is kind of crazy, just being here for a year, but he deserves it all, man. He played amazing, and, he did it all year long. So he's my Buckeye Leaf once again.
He was brought here to do a job, and he did it. And I'm really glad because
he exceeded the expectation and my expectation.
I agree, and kudos to him for that. I mean, to make a commitment like that and say, yes, I can accomplish these things for you.
And a lot goes into it. He had a lot of weapons. The offensive line was makeshift, but they got it together. I mean, even on the 3rd and 11, Trey's coming in and getting that blitzer.
Yeah.
He had he had guys around him, but he still was the one that was throwing the ball and making the plays, and he just did a great job.
I know you don't mean it this way, but there's this. Oh well, Will Howard was surrounded by all this talent. Yeah. Well, Justin Fields was too. Dwayne Haskins was 100%. Surrounded by talent. I mean, everybody on down.
Everybody who's in the playoffs is surrounded by talent. I mean, when you go to the league, you're going to be surrounded by talent. No. But I don't see.
It's a team.
If you use that to try and diminish his accomplishment here, I just can't get on board.
I can't either.
Because few quarterbacks are going to deliver in moments like that and that pressure. And if you pressure him on the field, forget about what it's like off the field. Yeah. If you tried to blitz him or you got pressure, he was the best quarterback in the country. The numbers will bear that out. He was remarkable.
He was best against man cover. I mean, all the stuff you saw.
Yeah.
So.
He was awesome. Ohio State won a national championship because Nicole didn't go to Mercedes-Benz Stadium.
Now, guys, I hope I can go in the future because watching it on TV.
I don't know. Now you've kind of set the standard, Nicole. You can't go.
Remember, we're not setting standards.
No, we're not.
Is the jinx dead or?
We'll see. Okay. I'll go to a game and see. Maybe I'll test it out with the away game next year, like Washington. And if we
test
win,
it out with the Texas
then I'll know
game
the
to start the
over.
year next year.
Yes. Oh no, I don't want to go. No. I'll go to Washington. I'll go away because that's how it's always started. Okay. So we'll see.
Well, we got to start thinking about 2025 already. But the celebration is Sunday. You can go back to the stadium for that, Nicole.
Yes.
There's no issue there. There's no game.
I know.
It's all just winners.
Can't lose the
celebration.
Can't lose the celebration.
The trophy is obtained. We are going to take a break though. Let Nicole go about the rest of her very busy Wednesday. But it was great to come in here and have a championship version of the show.
We had to celebrate them.
All right, so we're going to take a break. We're going to have Burham in here, and we're going to keep talking about what happened on Monday night in Atlanta at Roosters, which is a fun, casual.
Roosters has been so fortunate. We just want to be able to give some of that back to the community.
They donate to organizations that are near and dear to their heart, and we're so fortunate to have been with Roosters now for a long time.
They always go above and beyond to help support our foundation to further help veterans.
It's just a wonderful feeling to know that Roosters supports the Buckeye Cruise for Cancer.
All the folks at Roosters are just genuinely kind folks, and they want to make a difference.
Thank you, Roosters Foundation.
Thank you, Roosters.
Thank you, Roosters.
Thank you, Roosters Foundation.
Welcome back into Roosters, a fun, casual joint, and Championship Berm is here.
Yes, he is.
Spend a little
all his glory.
Spend a little money this weekend. Wait, just bragging that you got this, or what?
Well, we've been on the road for like a month straight, and I
start buying clothes as you go.
Yeah, so this was clean. I obviously don't normally wear the Ohio State logo or represent the brand because we represent our brand.
I think the impartial member of the media.
Yeah, but
Big J journalist.
Screw that this week. We're not impartial anymore. I think it's funny because we get accused a lot of being homers.
We do?
But we also get accused a lot of being haters. And
when you can get accused of both.
We get both.
And being overly negative. But I think back to I don't know, last January, there was another team that won the national championship. And that team, their media is so full of just unabashed homers.
Even the guys that might be on the desk for game day.
And so I feel like maybe it's time
that guy's in hell right now.
I feel like it's time to lean into it. And I think 2025 may be the year of Homer Berm.
Homer Berm.
And I think I'm going to lean into that a little bit more this year because
that's your resolution.
Yeah, capital J journalism.
You got to have something.
Capital J journalism doesn't matter anymore. No one cares about it. They want hot takes. They want spicy flavors, and they want people who, say what they're really feeling on the inside.
When have you not done that? What are you talking about?
Oh yeah, I mean, I've been historically reserved for the last couple of years.
I think that's the problem. It's in the inside. It's just Berm is dead in there, so a lot of the things that come.
He's
out
alive now.
Yeah, I mean, this is
blood's pumping.
This is good. So I know you guys are in a quasi hurry today, so I want to get into thoughts. Beforehand. There's no Buckeye leaves. The entire program deserves one. But it really goes back to a couple things, and I actually took notes. I wanted to
What?
This is the
Now
first. What is
now
happening?
this is a resolution.
What
for
happened to you guys
2025.
down in Atlanta?
Because I get distracted at times. I see a squirrel, and I'm like, oh, squirrel, and I lose my thoughts.
It's too cold for the squirrels.
This season, Bob,
Go ahead, I'm listening.
Bob started.
He's starting to score.
It's 0 degrees outside. I almost just left it running during the whole show.
This season changed. There's 2 inflection points. It was Jim Knowles and Larry Johnson deciding something in
coup d'etat.
In October after the Oregon game, and it was Ryan Day and Chip Kelly deciding something after the Michigan game, and those are 4 coaches who have been in this business a long time, and you guys know this. Coaches are generally very stubborn people who are
Creatures of habit.
Especially when 3 of them have been, one's at current,
Yeah.
2 of them have been head coaches.
Yeah.
And Larry's coached a hell of a long time.
And they're resistant at times to change. And for those 4 to all humble themselves and say, well, we need to readjust what we're doing here because clearly we have all this talent and something isn't working, that is incredible to happen at the times that they did.
The Taylor Swift, me, hi, I'm the problem, it's me.
Well, I mean, yeah, man, that's hard to do. Like, these are professionals
Look in the mirror.
who have been
Accountability. Standard is a standard.
at the top of their profession for years, and to say, wait a second, I'm doing something that's not working for this team, and to change it is really incredible. So I think, that's something that needs to be discussed over the next couple months, and that's really what I think this is. This is where do we go from here, right?
Already?
Yeah, part 2.
Are you crying or did you already
No,
have
I
your
just
spicy?
have this, I had wings. I just have my
Sweating
You
on
got
eyes.
to watch rubbing your eyes after
My
that.
contact
Be
is
careful. Make sure those hands are clean.
There's a lot of conversation, and I wrote a story about it on Tuesday morning, but there's a lot of teams that use like the creation of culture and
Today's Wednesday.
what day is it? Oh, it's Wednesday. Urban Meyer was there.
Yeah.
Jim Tressel was there. Like the culture of Ohio State is really, really strong, and the people who have helped create it, being there for along the ride with Ryan, I think is just awesome.
Yeah.
But I also, now I'm gonna try to make you cry. You, Maurice Clarett, you guys deserve a ton of credit
Don't say that.
for what this team could have folded, and to have people who had been through things, and Maurice's ability to like connect with people. I don't know why him and Ryan Day have clicked the way they have, but I'm telling you what, when you're at practice over the last month and a half, 2 months, and you see Ryan Day in the middle of the field, and there's Maurice Clarett right next to him the entire time, you're like, what in the world is going on? And that is obviously something special happened there because Maurice was one of those players, those former players who was on Twitter talking trash.
100%.
One of the most vocal.
Ryan and I talked about that. I mean,
And there's a lot of guys who do it. There still are a lot of former players who do it that don't have the balls to walk into the building and have that conversation in person. And for Maurice to do it, I think that's something that Ryan obviously respected, because he wasn't just flapping his gums to flap his gums like a lot of former players who like to get on social media and talk during the games when things aren't going well. It's an amazing testament to the culture of Ohio State and why this program has been not just one of the best programs in college football for the last 100 years, but the bluest of the blue bloods. And it's really remarkable.
well, they talk about the brotherhood and stuff, and that's something that transcends careers, I guess, whether you overlap or not. And I always, the reference point that I always have is, Mike Vrabel would come back and work out, and Andy was back, and Steve Tovar and Joey Galloway and guys like that were always like back and around. And I remember talking to them and like not only hearing the stories about when they played, but just how they would talk about life, any advice that they would have, and we'd go out to breakfast or something like that every once in a while. And that mattered. It meant a lot to me.
Those, you guys, the players in that building, the number of people who can say they've been through what they're going through is so small. It's such a small percentage. And if you don't have people who've actually walked that walk that can help you through it when things get pardon my language, I'll edit that. When things get rough, it can break you down. And to have people who have been through it to say, hey man, we actually know exactly what you're going through. And it's probably even worse now. It is definitely worse now because social media. But that influence is so important, and it clearly was important for Ryan Day to have Jim Tressel around this year, where he had never really had the opportunity to get to know Jim Tressel. Like, we saw a much different Ryan Day this year, and I think a lot of that is because of Jim Tressel.
Absolutely. And I think Tress helped kind of facilitate the Maurice situation as well. And like Maurice said, like, he went in there and he talked to him about what he said, apologized, and it's amazing talking to Maurice now. It's like, yeah, I was kind of misguided on the perception of what I thought it was versus what it actually is.
Yeah.
And this isn't even close to what I thought.
If you let social media shape your opinion,
Yeah.
which is what that's what I'm saying, a lot of the former players do that. And I get irrationally annoyed when I see former players talking trash online, guys who we never see around the program, because I think about how those players would have reacted to fans or former players doing that to them.
Oh, yeah.
And they would have
not enjoyed
shanked someone.
It doesn't mean that you can't be critical.
Sure, critical,
because there was a lot of things to be critical about. But I think there's a better way to do that. Like, when you talk about Woody versus the world, these are the people, Jay-Z, that have been in there. Like, they don't need everyone else blasting out their mistakes to the world.
No,
and being
100%. Because and those kids know when they see a former player come out and say whatever, you would have been pissed off. Like, you wouldn't have taken it so well if you were, if that was happening to you when you were playing.
But you would say you don't know what it's like.
Exactly.
And that person is supposed to know what it's like.
Exactly.
And that person also has the ability to go in and see it for themselves.
Yeah.
They don't have to rely on social media. The Woody is open to former players, nearly 100% of them.
Ryan is great about having guys like, and I told guys, like, come back.
Yeah, if you have that opinion, go see it for yourself, like Maurice did, and it changes things. And final point, and then we can talk about whatever you want, is I hope people will truly allow themselves to appreciate what it means to win a national championship in this era. Like, yes, the expanded playoff means that you're going to have more chances to win national championships.
But it's
it
also
means,
harder.
It's also going to mean you have more chances to lose a national championship. Yeah. It also means you're going to have more chances to win 3 playoff games and then be exhausted like Ohio State was in the fourth quarter of that game on whatever night that was, Monday. It means you're going to have more opportunities to get upset by a good Tennessee team down the road in the first round. It means that the path is so much harder. And I hope people understand on the 3rd and Jeremiah play, when you are asking yourself that play, like I saw 11 Warriors tweet out earlier on what day is it? Wednesday again?
Today's Wednesday.
Still.
They tweeted out the scene from the movie Air where they were talking about Dean Smith and Michael Jordan and the correlation between Jeremiah Smith and Ryan Day, and just how, like, that play was not just the biggest play of Jeremiah Smith's life, but it's the biggest play of Ryan Day's career, and maybe, an opportunity to completely change the narrative around his career, which it has. But think about everything that has to go right in that moment.
Oh, yeah.
And that's just one play. And now extrapolate that out over 4 playoff games. Extrapolate that over 7 weeks. Everything that has to go right. Notre Dame sends the house. They go 0 coverage. And Travion Henderson has to make an absolutely stonewall block on Drake Bowen, who had played the best game of any defender in the championship game. The Notre Dame linebacker, number 34, steps up, drills him. Will Howard, who had played an immaculate game in the first half and had a real struggle throwing the ball in the second half accurately. He missed a couple really key throws in that second half. Didn't throw the ball for like 10 straight minutes and steps up in the pocket into the face of Drake Bowen.
Knew a blitz guy was coming and
puts an absolute dime. And Jeremiah Smith, an 18-year-old who understood leverage on a play and ran off a route and has to then catch it. Like, everything has to go right. And I was wondering, how did he get caught? And then I remembered he's running right into the wind tunnel.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Those wind tunnels were brutal.
It was the coldest dome in the history of domes.
Well, just in front of it was like a 50-degree, 20-mile-an-hour wind.
There was an absolutely
the poor cops that were on those.
There was
tunnels.
a 25-degree difference between standing in the corner and moving over 10 feet. It was wild.
Crazy.
It was Midwestern football.
It was like
baby.
skiing versus like standing there. It was bad.
I really do hope people take a minute to appreciate everything that has to go right for this to happen. And in a season that could have been devastating and was at times, that could have been program altering if Ohio State wasn't able to complete this story, wasn't able to natty and not bust. Like, this season is one for the ages, and that's what they put on the stupid Nike shirts that I bought one of.
How much money did you spend after the game?
I can't tell you. The company credit card may have a few dings in it. It's really a special moment, and I hope people appreciate it. That's all.
Well, I do think, and look, other teams are going to win 12-team playoffs in the future, 16-team playoffs, and we're going to say
14,
this is the hardest. This is the hardest path. This is the to date, and I think at this moment, you can't argue it. This is the most deserved, hardest fought, greatest college football champion of all time. If you want to argue about who's the best team of all time, and you want to throw in USC or LSU, which I still will to this day argue that they would not have beat Ohio State in 2019 if there hadn't been assistance from the officials against the Buckeyes in the Fiesta Bowl against Clemson. Whatever. You can argue about that. Best teams of all time, that's always going to be barstool arguments. But in terms of most earned, hardest fought,
beating what, 6
crowning
of the top
achievement.
8 teams in the final AP poll?
There has never
everybody
been,
but Georgia. I mean,
yeah, there's never been a harder path to win a national championship to date in college football history. Will it stay that way forever? Maybe not. But up till now, these are the greatest college football champions that have ever existed.
You're going to be hard pressed to find another team to beat 5 5 teams. For a guy that couldn't beat a top 5 team coming in, they seem to really
check off that box.
Whack-a-mole.
The graphic is hilarious of the AP
double
top
digits
10.
each game.
He beat them all.
Yeah.
They did everything you need. And then,
they even beat themselves once.
Exactly. Honestly, that's the joke.
That's great.
And they also beat themselves. When was that? The Saturday after Thanksgiving. That's someone. You need to bring that up to Ryan, please. Right? It's amazing. You've
beaten
so
everybody.
Top 5 wins, even the Buckeyes.
Hadn't thought about it until just now.
That's pretty amazing. Well, they talk about the hot seat, and I threw this out. This morning I said it. McAfee loved it yesterday. I'm like, nothing cools down the hot seat like a Gatorade bath. That's probably the ultimate elixir to get it. And Berm, you were down there, voyeurism, shooting pictures of this. And
have you ever seen a guy turn into the Gatorade?
He wanted that Gatorade bath. Yeah.
After throwing his headset into the crowd.
Where did
I don't know where it landed.
I mean,
didn't he say the next morning? He's like, I don't even know what happened. He's blacked out.
Because usually it's like, I guess you grab, like in basketball, they throw the ball in there. It's like, give me that headset.
Just get this thing off of me.
That was a stark difference from when I watched Urban take that headset and throw it into the wall. I think against Alabama one time, and it shattered. And Volt was like, "What do I do?" And now,
it's gone. Give me another one.
Next one up. Take it from someone else.
Yeah, I don't think they'll have to replace that one.
But watching and being a part of one, I've got a chance to be a part of one, which you don't really remember. Watching the 2014 and being tangentially a part of it, my brother being on the staff and being there. But to see the players, and it's something that was true throughout the season, really true throughout the playoff. I've never seen the players embrace their coach like that.
Yep.
All of them, guys running around to really congratulate him, and he makes it about them. But
and they want it to be.
They want it to be about him because they know all of the nonsense that he was. I mean, he was the shield that was breaking all of it. I mean, he was the break wall, and and to see that, I don't know any other teams that I've watched that be the case. It wasn't one guy; it was 20.
It's Ryan Day has said repeatedly in the last month, if we win, there will be stories to tell, and I think that Ohio State fans should just be thrilled about the offseason we're going to get. And honestly, I know that next August 31st or 30th or whatever day that Texas game is, all this stuff is going to be irrelevant, and that's great. That's what sports is about. That's why sports is awesome, because you can ride that train forever, and it's going to be a great ride no matter what. And I mean great is in the sense it's going to be an interesting ride, not always great as in woohoo, but sometimes it's ew. But the stories that are going to be told over these next couple months are going to be insane. And the one I've talked about it a few times in the last few days. I can't wait to really sit down and dive into the meeting that happened the day after the Michigan game. Because
Tuesday after, right? Tuesday after.
There is something about whatever happened in that team room that day. Go ahead.
I think I have an idea. Have you ever seen? There's a movie about a bunch of guys that went to Vegas, and on top of
Mike Tyson was there with the tiger.
Yeah, they do the blood, the wolf pack, the blood brother, the wolf pack. They shook hands.
I don't know if that
we're gonna find out. That's the point.
Something happened where they left that they went into that meeting going, we don't know if this is the right man to lead our program. And they left it basically willing to throw themselves in front of speeding trains for him.
You know why? Because Ryan is like authentically him and completely honest about things with his guys, and probably even to a fault with the media.
Probably too much.
Yeah.
For a head coach in his position.
Not sure if that's the case.
I played for a lot of coaches that they'll never really take responsibility for things, even though they F it up.
Yeah.
And some of my favorite coaches of all time, but hey, that was a bad call.
Yeah.
That was bad. We thought we were prepared. We weren't. We didn't prepare correctly. Like, we put time in. And I blew it.
It was
I
wrong.
blew some calls in games. I didn't do this. I didn't do that. Like, you guys played hard. I didn't help you out. I didn't help you enough. Or thanks for bailing me out on this. And when you do that, like, you gain instant respect for your coach.
But there's one thing to say it, and another thing to change it.
And then say, I'm going to be aggressive again.
Right. Yep.
And then you see it. And then on the third and Jeremiah, as you coined it, like, I mean, that was it. Like, that personified. Really? You guys,
go for it.
Let's do it.
Go win the game. And they did. They clinched the national championship. It was a Monday night in Atlanta. This is a Wednesday.
Days are stupid.
I know.
Okay?
But everything's all mixed up.
The pictures, the scenes from the bars in Columbus. I don't know if some of this was even last night after the players got back. But I mean, it was out of control.
And it's all building up to Sunday.
Yeah.
Which is this championship celebration in the Horseshoe. That is going to be at noon.
They said the fires are going to be amazing Sunday night.
I can't wait.
On campus.
It's going to be awesome.
The couches, they've been storing them up since 2015. They've been storing these couches.
Light them up, baby.
Sitting there by the dumpster.
It's going to look like the Pacific Palisades, baby.
New Homer
Too
Berm
soon?
is going to have
Too soon.
a lot more championship gear that I'm sure he'll be wearing as we get
time to lean in,
to go cover that in the Horseshoe. And then we'll be back in here on a normal Monday in the Horseshoe Lounge at Roosters. We appreciate their whole team for accommodating us on a rare Wednesday championship edition of the show. Thanks to Nicole Cox. We missed it by a day, but the cheesy bacon wedges, they're worth it.
They're worth paying full price for.
They're worth it at full price.
These
You
are
can
by
get
far
those.
the best of the cheesy bacon apps.
Yeah, without question. Thanks to Justin Zwick. Thanks to Bobby Carpenter. Thanks to Jeremy Birmingham. I am Austin Ward. This has been the live show at Roosters. It's a fun, casual joint. Enjoy the championship celebration. We'll see you again next week.